A word to the wise. We are an explicit podcast tackling content with adult themes as well as entering spoiler territory if you aren't caught up with us. This week, we are starting Jade War and talking about chapters 1 through 7. Hey there, this is Cross.
And I'm PJ.
And I'm Ben.
I'm Aaron. Hi.
And I'm Thomas.
And we are Words and Whiskey, a podcast for veteran and novice readers alike. We tackle fiction novels and love to talk about what we're drinking. You should think of us as your intoxicating weekly book club.
So, Crossland, something I've noticed when you do the word to the wise, you just say, like, what book and what chapters?
I know that I've been skipping the author.
Totally hanging on what series it's from and who wrote it. And what books they should read before this book.
Now,
I think
they should already know by now.
They should.
Listener, I've got a word for you. Just like listen up real close. Like get real close to your headphones. Grow the fuck up. Figure it out.
No.
You could do it.
DJ, why don't you tell him? You're so nice.
Jade War is the second book in the Greenbone saga by Fonda Lee. And if you haven't read the first one, that's called Jade City. And you should do that and listen to our coverage of that book and then come back and listen to the rest of this episode. Because you're going to be really confused. And I don't want you crying and sad because you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Motherfucker. All right, today is our first episode of Fonda Lee's Jade War, the second book in the Greenbone saga, and we're going to be talking about chapters 1 through 7. But before we get there, Thomas, do you want to talk about our featured cocktail?
I would like nothing more than to do that. So, didn't know I was doing the featured cocktail. I just threw something together off the dome. Here's the name for it. My Blood for the Pillar. Here's what you need to make My Blood for the Pillar. You need... So I don't believe in measuring when I'm cooking up, when I'm operating off vibes. So you're going to want a tall glass, put some ice in it, an amount of seltzer or something bubbly of your choice.
How many vibes worth?
17. You're also going to want some cran pineapple juice. It's very sweet, so I went with a lime seltzer. Or a lime tonic, sorry. Too much rum, as you can probably tell already, because the vibes were loose. And then I was like, you know what this needs would be delightful would be an orange. And so didn't have an orange. My mother, lovely woman that she is, shout out my mom, she's listening now probably. She brought me an Easter basket, sliced a blood orange into quarters, juiced a quarter into the glass, put another quarter, a little wedge in there. And let me tell you, it's 10 times better than it was without the blood orange. And it is delightful. It's delicious. It's very refreshing. It kind of like cut the sweetness a little bit too. So it's really good. And that is My Blood for the Pillar.
Can we back up where you got
red?
Yeah. Can we back up where you got an orange in your Easter basket?
So
that seems normal.
Why? My mom always gave us lots of fruit in the Easter basket.
Isn't it supposed to be full of candy?
I love that.
Traditionally, yes. So we would have like one shared basket of candy, I feel like, and then fruit, and then the candy would be in the eggs that the Easter Bunny brought us. And so, no pineapple this year. I got a coconut, and also Peeps cereal, which I am scared to try.
Wow,
but I will try.
Sounds sugary. Brush your teeth after.
Is it just rebranded Frosted Flakes? Or not Frosted Flakes, Lucky Charms?
Lucky Charms.
It's basically Fruit Loops with like what look to be Peeps. I haven't opened it yet, but it looks like Fruit Loops.
I don't stand Peeps.
Me neither.
Do not. If you want to learn more about standing, go to the Devil's Cut. Come on. What are you doing? Ben and Aaron, what are you guys having today?
Go ahead, Aaron.
I'm having a Quirk. It's our local brewery, Boulevard Brewing Company. It's their seltzer, and I'm having the pineapple chili flavor.
That's her favorite.
Yeah.
And it is my favorite.
I am drinking a Jameson lemonade, and it's Irish whiskey with natural lemon flavor and carbonation.
Nice.
And it's actually pretty good.
Someone left it in my
pretty
house
impressed by
this weekend.
That was interesting. That's what I was
Just the way
I would
that's described
recommend.
it, that sounds like less sweet than I was expecting to hear from you based on that name. That I think I'll try that sometime.
It's definitely worth it.
Get the opportunity.
It is good.
I would have more of
I have
them.
no idea who left it here.
Yeah.
I have absinthe and ice water. And you can see
That's
the
it.
glass is very full.
And cloudy.
Because-
Mostly
I didn't have much absinthe left, so I poured it in the glass. And it was more than I thought. So then I filled it with ice water until the point where it goes through its little titration and goes milky. And
Looks like
it's
a
almost a
slushy.
full glass.
Milky White.
So lots of absinthe.
Milky White is
Nice.
the name of the cow in Into the Woods.
Oh, yeah.
starring.
Starring whoever the Broadway crew at the time is. How dare you assume
Starring
that we're
the
talking
love
about the movie?
of Ben and I's life, Chris Pine.
Yeah, okay.
You know who else
Sorry
probably
to
likes
our
that movie?
girlfriend.
Shay. Right? She's in
I
musicals.
do have a backup beer. I don't know if I'll get to it, but it is
Shay also loves musicals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who is Shay?
Just like me, for real.
a double
I
strawberry
okay.
cheesecake.
You ever heard of Jade
Nice.
War?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Did you want to talk about that?
Deny the sex.
Okay. So before we talk about the chapters,
Wait,
I do want to. I said I'm also having absinthe. It took 2 seconds,
Okay.
which is why I was like, I am also having absinthe. And then everyone else was talking right afterwards. And I was like, cool. Everyone should know. But I do want to take a second. Have you guys popped open the front cover and
Yes.
looked at the map?
Yes. We have more.
I was doing
we
a lot
zoomed
of
way out and we have continents.
referring back to the map while reading, which I love.
Same.
She tiny. Cake-on tiny.
Just
Yeah,
a
very-
little
real
island.
small.
Yeah. And I like now we get more of a perspective of who these people are in the world. And, there's a few continents that aren't labeled. So we don't know, is it like Greenland where nothing's there? Or is it like cities,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or are they a part of the ROE, for instance, which just covers that area, or are they not relevant to the
Mhm.
story, perhaps?
Do they have
So, yeah.
polar bears on the continent of Lycius?
Definitely.
And are they white
There's
polar bears?
there's some good questions there. But I wanted to make sure that everyone had seen the map because I know that was one of the things that I think blew both Thomas and my mind when we saw it the first time opening this book.
I think
Did you
so.
also see
You're
that
just like, holy
Fonda
shit.
Lee apparently does martial arts?
Yeah,
Mhm.
girl.
She says, let me get to it. Here's my page turning soundbite.
Oh.
I'm
ASMR.
trying to get. Okay, I went too far. She says, for the martial artists I've trained with and learned from, I know Kung Fu.
First-hand knowledge. Right, what you
I
know.
was a martial artist in my youth.
What belt?
Weren't we all?
Purple?
I think, well, I did Taekwondo. I got to blue, I think. Blue or green.
Nice. So don't cross Thomas.
Oh, you can
Yeah.
now. I'm not that flexible
I
anymore.
won't cross Thomas. Yeah. But before we get, yeah, that was a bad joke. But before we go too much further, of course, what do you guys think of the chapters? What do you think of the new book as we start it?
I
Too
thought.
much Bero already.
It's the same amount of Bero as we got early on.
No, it was way more Bero and it was too much Bero. I was about to say that. That was like my one opinion. And then hot and heavy sex. Woo!
Yeah.
I was picking up sticks in the yard and I was like,
Wow.
oh.
Is someone watching me? That's,
I make a lot of weird faces when there's really intense sex scenes in books. So I'm glad I'm not fully in public.
there's that meme that I think has rolled around book talk and book Instagram a couple of times, Bookstagram, about being in a grocery store and having a sex scene come on. And just that moment of intense thing while you're picking a lemon and sizing up a lemon.
Your face is
Like
flushing.
any fruit. Yeah.
I just feel
Bad.
I think
just feel like
Gerald
that's
is in
why
the background.
pause exists. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. Very true. Go back, listen to the last chapter, get the setup again. With that, let's move into PJ. You didn't give your thoughts, but Aaron did to some degree, but
I So far, like, I'm really, really enjoying it. I feel like it feels snappier than the first book did to a certain extent. I'm amped to keep going, and I'm excited for it. It feels like a really, really solid, action-packed intro.
Yeah, I definitely feel the growth as a writer between book 1 and book 2. I don't know if you guys noticed that so much, but I feel like we hit more plot beats in a denser moment while still highlighting character moments throughout. So I really kind of appreciated that in this read through myself. But cool.
Definitely an expansion of scope. The map gives that away right away, but I feel like even the story starts alluding to a lot of other things that this Jade War seems like it's going to be a lot of nations warring.
It's going to be a war.
Yeah.
Chess pieces getting set up.
Just to dig into that a little bit, Cross, you mentioned you were surprised by the size of KCON.
How small it is. Just a widow guy.
This is almost exactly what I was expecting because I saw it as like a stand-in for Japan.
This is way smaller than Japan is, though.
Not.
Like, this is...
It is. It's like almost exactly the same size as Japan.
Is there a
world
scale
map.
on this map? She has a north arrow. That's good. Architect. Tim Paul is the artist, and there's not a scale. I wonder how big a quadrant is.
Yeah. Just comparing
Each
to every other
square is
flat
5
map
feet.
of Earth. Each square is 5 feet. Is this a D&D campaign? I think that is the sort of equivalence that she's using, but I think she's really kind of sectioning it out to be a much smaller section of Japan and not the entirety of. Japan is not very big, given it's, roughly, I think, 2 times the size of Minnesota, which is relevant to all 2 of us that use Minnesota as a measuring stick with which to measure other places. But yeah, I think for me, it feels much smaller on the map. It feels closer to, God, I don't know, Taiwan.
Yeah, but dragon shaped.
Pokemon shaped, I thought we said.
I'm so sorry. I'm not a nerd.
Not that joke again, damn it. All right. With that, we'll definitely talk more about that. I'm interested to explore. But Chapter 1, Heaven Awaiting. So we open Jade War returning to Bero and Mudt, executing their scheme of robbing the grave of the Sleepless Pillar. After successfully completing the deed under the rising moon, they execute and hide the body of the man that assisted them, Nuno, excited for what a future with Jade looks like for the pair of them. Fuck them. The gall to go through this, turning on Nuno, like that's kind of the entire thing, but this is like reaction chapter, I think.
Barrow's a dick.
God damn Bero.
Yeah.
Up to his fucking hijinks.
I hope
again.
Mutt is the one who kills him.
Moot's a bitch too.
Baby Mutt.
Baby Moot.
I'm
He's a baby bitch.
kind of upset that Moot didn't kill Nuno. Because if he had with that swing, like if that had dropped him entirely, and it might have, before Bero got the chance to shoot him, then Bero wouldn't have the opportunity to say oh, he didn't actually kill anybody anyway, and he doesn't deserve this Jade, and that devulsion that he goes through wouldn't be founded, and it still might not be.
Don't you think he would have just had a different reason? He would have been like, well,
For
he
sure.
didn't kill Tall Lon. I killed Lon.
Yeah,
I just
for
killed
sure.
some random guy.
Yeah, I don't think Barrow
For sure.
needs any logical reason to be a dickhead. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
He'll find a way, no matter what.
Yeah. But counterpoint to all of our opinions, he did cause Lon to tip over the edge of death, I guess. Even though the Shine did, which was planted by Papi Danwa. What's his name? Woot?
Woon Poppy Donwa.
The disappointment
Unbelievable.
on
Papi Jan.
Ben's face. So
Palpable.
technically, it is his Jade to claim.
I don't know about that, but
It's not a green bone. Green rights don't apply.
I will say also in defense of Bero here, not in defense of it,
Bero.
but on a different sort of wavelength of thinking about it. This is the first scene where he pulls something off start to finish that he intended.
That's true.
This is something that he planned and executed properly and effectively. Whereas everything else, it's just bumblefuck.
That's true. He seemed a little more like he waited for this day. He he had a few failed attempts to get into the grave, and then he like learned patience, waited for Kalsen to die, which that was kind of like oh, by the way, he died. We didn't see him die.
Well, you saw it in the Dramatis Personae at the beginning.
Exactly. It spoiled it for me.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit. I was like, did he die in the last book? I was like,
it's like a page 2 thing. Yeah. Right.
I did read that, but I didn't even catch on. I just figured like he would die at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I figured he was dying, but I will not defend
my version
in Red Rising. In the Red Rising series, was very explicit to me to not read the Dramatis Personae because of errors and spoilers.
Yeah.
I don't have a Dramatis Personae in the front of my special edition book, so I didn't have anything to warn you about because I didn't know it was there. I fucked up.
It's pretty. It's like within the first 3 pages anyway.
It's at the very least, it is a page 1 thing.
Yeah,
but,
I was gonna say it's right away. Unlike my. Go ahead. You're fine.
I was gonna say, like, I read the first, and then I like read the book, and then I was, as soon as I like realized that, I'm like, I'm not reading the rest. Like, as soon as I saw Kalsen's deceased thing, I'm like, I'm not gonna read any more of these people, and I'm like, let's get into the book. So yeah,
no spoilers.
So
Bero is Golem.
Yeah, so I was going to say, unlike my esteemed colleagues, I will not be defending Bero.
Thank you.
I just like to come up with a opposite opinion of whatever you think.
Okay, perfect.
This is really ideal. I don't have to hate you forever.
This sounds
it's very
like
true. PJ and I have had many a spirited argument where PJ's like, I don't really believe that. And I was like, God damn it. I was arguing as though you believed it with your heart. Fuck. Well, cool. I think this chapter is pretty quick, all things told. There's the quick flash of violence. The only other thing that I had that I thought was kind of weird is the way that he shoots him twice. Did anyone have sort of like a rationale there for
the double
why we
tap.
think he shot him twice?
Zombieland.
Well, right. Yeah, for sure.
That's a good movie.
I was thinking maybe the cheek was the first shot, and then the forehead was the second.
It says the opposite.
I think he says forehead.
It's the opposite.
When he describes it, he says he was shot in the forehead and the cheek, but we don't know the order that those shots happened.
No, we do.
In Nuno's
in the
forehead
moment.
and the second in his cheek.
Oh,
it says.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a reason.
I stand corrected.
I think it just speaks to his inexperience as a killer.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah.
That was Thomas's point. You stole it.
No. Well, we're both very smart.
Yeah. What I'll say is that I don't quite understand how quickly they were able to find that Lon's grave was desecrated. And maybe this is getting into the later chapters.
That's way further ahead. We'll definitely talk about that with Miktar in that section.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll get there. Cool. All right. Well, I think that's good for chapter 1.
Well, I mean, just to preface that conversation, I thought it was pretty ingenious to go through Kalsen's grave.
Yes.
And into the side of the casket for Lon, because they knew it was super close. It was like a foot of
7 feet.
Was it 7 feet?
Inches. I don't know. It was 7 something. Was it 7 feet?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I had all the graves were super close together, so there was like a foot of ground between them. But it could have been 7 inches. It could have been I could be misremembering it. Whatever it
showed Barrow's again, like he's learning to be a little more thoughtful and careful and patient with his tomfoolery.
That brings us to chapter 2, the passing of the torch. Carl Sennington, Torch of Caton, has passed, and the country mourns the death of one of their great national heroes. This has brought a facade of peace between the clans as Aitmata releases a statement mourning the torch, and dignitaries in the mountain clan, including their new horn, now Sunzun, attend the funeral. After the funeral, Hilo and Shay hold court for their constituents, including Aiton, and we learn about the Call's cousin, the Taijis, and that one of them has been captured by a Yuian jade smuggler named Zapunyo, whom Hilo agrees to deal with personally over the protestations of Shay, And the chapter ends with Hilo preparing to meet with Andon alone again over the protestations of Shay. So, fucking jam-packed chapter 2.
Susan
Zen. Listen, real life story. Kicked out of speech therapy as a lad for being able to spell too good. So sometimes I just can't pronounce things. Get off my back, listeners.
You're like, this is speech therapy, not spell therapy.
Please no.
So we already touched on this a little bit. Were we shocked that Call Sen passed so soon just from a storytelling perspective?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I don't think I was shocked.
I was like, oh, okay. Whoop.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, I was
died.
like, yeah, okay. I mean, like, I was expecting him to die pretty soon, and it makes sense that you would open on a funeral, I feel like. So a lot of that made sense to me as far as the story goes.
It was surprising to me.
Yeah, I was surprised by it because it felt like it was coming soon, and I wasn't expecting a time jump. That was also like, it worked really, really, really well. I was just expecting either like a farther time jump, like well beyond his death, or just picking up where they left off. And this was like a really short time jump. It was like a year and a half or something like that, or a year.
I think it's a little less than a year because
it's 16 months after Lon's death.
Andon's chapters.
It's like right out of year, right? Because Iton came.
Yeah. Iton is, he's like, it's coming up.
Yeah.
Would you still do it?
He's like, fucking ice me, bro.
Ice me in front of my daughter and wife.
Yeah.
Speaking of Iton, what do we think about his monkey surrogate arms?
I was so happy for.
Dope.
Yeah. I was extremely happy for Iton.
Soda.
I just want to say, you can't trust those little monkeys. They will rip your face off. I saw it on Oprah.
Thank you. Saw it on Oprah.
I don't know, bro.
But our dude, he was down in the dumps, depressed, armless. Now he's like, beautiful baby. He's going to be opening up a thriving Hochi business. Going to be trusted by his pillar.
He's holding stuff with his feet.
Monkey wipes
What's up with
his
his feet?
ass. I need a monkey to wipe my ass.
Yeah. That's like
I can't reach most of the time.
1,000 times better than a bidet.
Just get some ass monkeys.
Jesus.
I've had 2 sips
You want
of
to take
this
that again?
beer.
I'm just kidding.
I can't talk.
Aaron was.
I was about to say,
kicked
I
out of
can't
speech
believe we're
therapy.
talking about for unknown reasons, but I can't believe we're talking so much about that when like this is a really cool scene about the like honorifics of the clan. I mean, of course we're talking about that. I'm not actually surprised, but like this is a really cool scene about the honorifics of the clan. You know what I mean? Like this is that cool moment where it's like, this is sort of the spirit of what being a greenbone is to some degree, which I think also reflects directly into the next chapter and how Hilo feels.
I thought this all reflected well on Hilo. I think he's a good dude.
The good boy.
We stan Hilo.
There you go.
I think this is also a way of like, this is a win-win in every direction for the clan because it simultaneously gets another Lantern Man in the twice or in the double was it? For the Twice Lucky?
Double.
I think the double.
In the double. Yeah, the Twice Lucky is still there. So another Lantern Man in the location of the double. It gets just favor for Hilo on the side of Iton and his entire family. It gets effectively another like standing Greenbone guard without being a Greenbone guard in that district. Like it works out perfectly, and the Itons get a much bigger Hoji distillery than they were expecting. Like everybody's happy here. It's wonderful. It's a perfect opportunity for the clan and for them.
And it comes so effortlessly, and then it's in such contrast to like Shay we see later on struggling with her role in that, and she's the one that's supposed to be kind of like the whiz kid at this aspect of things, and we see Hilo dominating it, which is kind of like when we see Hilo come back or Shay come back to the clan in Jade City. She's a natural at the violent parts initially, and Hilo, like she sells Hilo on the deception when they all strike back at the mountain. Which is like a nice little This little role reversal again.
Mhm.
It really makes me wonder if this is something that like is just top of the dome, just like snapping off ideas for Hilo, or if he knew that they might come at him with some sort of request like this, and he had sort of a prepared solution ahead of time. I'm not sure, because he doesn't strike me as so much of a think ahead, but he also doesn't necessarily strike me as a like just great business choices off the top of his head person either. Like, I don't know where this came from, or if this was Shay, if this came from Shay to begin with. I don't know.
To me, it seemed like Hilo shucking and jiving on the spot,
Yeah.
just being dynamic.
It's fair.
Good job, Hilo.
Totally a win for
Like
him,
you, buddy.
if that's the case.
I have a question while we're on this Aiden train.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed.
You guys touched on, a pseudo standing Greenbone type of thing in the double. Do you think even without arms he'd be able to use some of the Jade abilities in a martial way? Like, maybe get some kicks going with deflection or something?
Totally.
Okay.
I did have that thought. I was
Yeah, like it's not like it comes out of your hand.
yeah. I feel like he could. I believe in Aiden.
You know when Andon's like pointing and killing stuff? Could he like point with his toe?
That'd be fun.
Now we're talking.
That's a humorous image.
Does he need to point at all?
Yeah, just my telekinesis kill you.
Like the kid from
Just like wink at people.
Accepted that wants to blow shit up with his mind.
Yeah. What a fucking deep cut reference.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
No joke.
Right. Going back a little bit before we got sidetracked by Aiden, despite my inability to say his name correctly, what do we think the new horn of the mountain will be like? What do we think he has in store? We have so little to go on. I just want to see your guys' pulse.
Seemed like a prodigy to me.
I think what Horn said, like he doesn't seem as powerful, which is worrisome.
Yeah.
I think that's the best assessment.
He feels sneaky.
He's unassuming.
Yeah.
Sneaky.
Feels like he fits in with their scheming. They're up to shit. They're like reassessing, and
And he killed a bunch of people already for Aitmata.
he's a stone cold killer, obviously. So they say in the last, is he the guy that's skilled in perception too? So I feel like they're planning something there, and this guy is doing some sneaky shit, or is going to get up to some sneaky shit.
Yeah, it feels like this is the response to the death of Ash.
Gaunt Ash.
Gaunt Ash. And it feels like, or my assumption is, this is the path that the mountain is going to take now, as opposed to being brute force, like overwhelm the enemy and just be in general stronger and better. This is more of a like, we're going guerrilla warfare. We're going like sneaky. We're going like totally off the map and out of the realm of predictability, with our leader being this person. So that's my expectation going forward, is that it's going to be a total tactic shift for the mountain tribe.
I would agree.
Now is definitely an interesting dude. Be exciting to see. Schemes, as Ben might say. And did say. As said.
Sneaky.
Sneaky.
What
Both.
do we make of the Tall's cousins,
And the aunt. I gotta ask about the aunt
Yeah.
too.
auntie? She's a good lady.
These seemed like very like normal salt of the earth type folk, and just kind of clumsy and unlucky. I don't know. They're played off like these, like, I don't know.
Is it Tehi's?
Yeah,
Did I make that
That
up?
might be Tehi's.
I just listened to it. I should remember.
they seem like there's
Yeah, it's
some
either
shit.
Tehi or Teji. I can't remember.
But they seem like anyone's like, distant cousins were like, oh yeah, they're from Oklahoma or whatever.
Seem like some Gomers.
No offense
Yeah,
to the Oklahoma people.
no, all the offense. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think he is.
Yeah, it was kind of funny, the juxtaposition between like this cool, powerful Call family and this like bumbling.
Like, my husband said not to talk to you, but I no.
Yeah, like
They
very
like all
normal.
roll their eyes like, "Hi, Auntie."
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like, when during Andon's graduation ceremony in Jade City, where they were talking about the people that got like a single jade bead, I remember thinking, like, how much would it suck to be like one of the couple people that got a single bead? Like, I remember distinctly thinking about that. Like, that had to have been so embarrassing. Like, yes, there's still pride in graduating. Like, yes, you can still like do something great out of this. But I remember thinking, like, there's only like 2 people that got a single bead, and then there are people that get like 4, like Andon. And like, just the way it was described and the sort of difference and the sort of perceptive difference between all of them. And then to like see that their cousin was like
was one of those
one
fuck
of those
ups.
people. It cracked me up. It just internally, like, strictly because of the way that I had dwelled on that fact more than I probably should have in the previous book. It made me laugh.
Poor Tahis.
I love that because Tahi is also just like a piece of shit. Like, he's beyond just like being like not very skilled. He's like, oh yeah, he traveled a little bit as like a guard here and there, and just feels like the like, I don't know, floof of a person, just super aloof and distant and just a fucking weirdo, and kind of
And
makes
a
for an interesting.
liability, apparently.
Yes, absolutely a liability. I've got this curiosity of like, he's obviously been captured by Zapunio, as we know, over the course of this. What do we and obviously there's the ransom. Do you think that there's anything like hanky panky there? Like, or not hanky panky, that was totally the wrong term, but like anything,
Like
my God,
sexual?
absolutely. Yeah, I did not mean sexual. Anything like unjust, or like why would
Untoward?
Zapunio do something untoward? Yes, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you. Cut. Crossland
Keep.
No,
bullshit.
keep that shit.
Yeah, I'm keeping it.
Hanky panky.
Just Jesus Christ.
My initial assumption is that the entire family has turned, based on the way that they were described and the way that they were like mentioned and talked about by the Call family as this like kind of fuck up family that like hasn't contributed anything and hasn't been beneficial, hasn't really joined the clan. Even as like graduates, they haven't really become fingers or fists or anything like that. My assumption is that they've turned, and this is a double cross.
I
I didn't think that.
had not thought of that, but I kind of like it.
I kind of took it as at face value, like their fuck ups. Zapunio captured this, black sheep and is holding them ransom. But I don't know what Zapunio's motives are. Like, maybe they just want to like work with Hilo. Maybe they want to fuck him up. I don't know. We'll see. We don't know enough about him.
Zapunio seems like he's up to shit. The Tahis, they just seem like fuck ups. But Zapunio seems like he is going to be a figure that is going to be a player here throughout this book, especially with how much they're referring to like this oncoming Jade War and how much the black market is picking up. I feel like he's going to be kind of like a major antagonistic figure for us. And I'll also say his name is very near Bero's name in the Dramatis Personae. So I feel like they're going to be...
Z and B are not close.
I feel like they're going to be hooking up.
Hanky panky in.
Oh no.
to sort of soften my claim a little bit as far as the like turncoat aspect goes.
Stick
I could
with it,
also see
PJ. What
it
if you're
be-
right?
Well, I mean, that's my assumption right now, but I could also totally see it being not them actively working with the Mountain Clan, not turncoating, but being bribed to claim that they have their son and
Or just-
like lure them into a trap. Say
Maybe
like,
they're so incompetent that they're
Well-
getting taken advantage of.
yeah, I mean, yes, or they're so greedy or they're so desperate that they're accepting a large bribe to lie to their family a little bit.
Yeah, I see that.
All right. I dig it.
Okay. The last
What
thing
else do you have, buddy boy?
Last thing I have is one little quote from our guy, R.I.P. Coulson,
Our guy.
recanted by Hilo.
Rip.
The gods play favorites, Hilo's grandfather had once said at the dinner table. They took from one side of our family to give to the other. So be kind to your cousins. If the Taiis had more brains or thicker blood, who knows where we'd be? I thought that was like a nice little bit of world building and adding to like the mystic lore of how at least the elder Tetanese kind of think about things.
For sure. And it's like, makes the Tahis seem like, well, they could be a problem if they get any initiative. Or thick blood, like the blood orange cocktail that Thomas made.
My blood for the pillar.
Or like they go over to the mountain and they breed with a family like that, or like if there's any like intermingling that could make that happen. Yeah, there's a lot there, and I think it's really cleverly done.
As per fucking usual.
Yeah, salute to Fonda Lee. All right, with that we say goodbye to Coulson, old granddad, old piece of shit.
Rest in peace, you won't be missed.
Sack of garbage. Any final words? Anyone have any final words for Granda?
Rip Bozo.
Yeah, good riddance.
Fuck you.
I liked all of that. Yeah, I'm here for that.
Context free spoilers. Here's what's going on. Rip Bozo meme. How to go to my biggest hater's funeral meme.
All right. With that, we go into Chapter 3, Exile. We return to Emery Andon after Coulson's funeral, feeling like he'll never be able to pay the debt he owes to his now passed granda. Andon then proceeds to be spoken to by Hilo in an attempt to convince him of what he should be doing. Andon holds strong and firm despite Hilo's insistence and guilt trip, settling to not resume his role as a Greenbone. He is, however, going to be sent to Spenia as quasi-punishment, it seems. The chapter comes to a close with a conversation with Shay about the result. I have to say, I think it's really critical. Patting myself on the back here a little bit, but like spoken to by Hilo, because Hilo is not listening at all throughout this entire conversation, which is kind of brutal. I mean, he is, but he's already planned every rebuttal and very Godfather-like in the way that like he is just insistent without end.
You deliberately disobeyed me, Lion King.
I felt that.
I just want to say Andon is fucking annoying now, and
I absolutely 100% agree.
I'm like rolling my eyes.
Welcome to the light.
What?
I could not, like, especially by the end of this chapter. Let me find this part where he's just like, I don't want to go to Espenia. I don't want to. I'm just like, dude, you gotta grow up.
It's very similar to, okay. He says
Cross
anything
is dying right
but
now.
wear green. I'll do anything but wear green.
Exactly.
2 sentences later, not Espenia. I hate it there.
Yes.
And it's like last book. Hilo's like, I'll never forget what you did here. And then Andon's like, okay, but I won't wear jade. And he's like, you're dead to me. Very late. There's all these little callbacks immediately.
But also, this is entirely born out of the fact that the clan needs to devote resources to keeping him safe. Because like he is totally a liability for.
It's not entirely born out of that fact.
He absolutely is.
No, it's not entirely born out of that fact. There's a whole metric fuck ton of guilt here that's being layered on as blackmail.
Okay, fine.
That's not entirely what it is.
No,
I disagree completely.
But the like ultimatum of. Or not even an ultimatum, the like decision like we need to get you out of this country is born out of that.
Yeah, right. I do agree with that, but that's not like what the whole thing is.
That's fair.
This is a lot of guilt of like, okay, well, if you're not going to do that, then I have to put you in the safest place possible. And that is a way.
I think it's a little guilt and mostly Hilo just fundamentally not being able to like get. Like he's trying to do what's best for his cousin, and he can only see it from his point of view.
It's truly an emotional response,
I think the guilt's
but there is a ton of guilt.
I just think Hilo's like, I don't think Hilo's like, oh, let me guilt him into this. I think he's like, this is the way you have
he's
to live
wielding
life.
He's not guilting him into it. He's layering on guilt because he's not wearing green, because he's not serving the clan, because he's not doing Jade. And he's even using Shay as an example against him, despite the reason that Shay getting and taking her Jade back is a completely different reason than why Andon doesn't want it. I guess I'm just going to stand in the Emery Andon defense corner of my Blink-182 t-shirt because
this is like the issues that Aaron was having with Shay, but at least like Shay was self-aware to where she was like, I know I'm fucking up right now, and I know I want it both ways. Andon is just like, why? I don't want to do that. And just like,
that's the worst voice.
So that's what he sounds like in my head. That's what he sounds like. And like the use of italics in the book is just like, it's so bad. Like he's like, have you ever thought about what I want? Like,
he's definitely a petulant 19-year-old. Yeah. I do not disagree.
Yeah. I just can't right now.
It's such a unique position to be in, though, because it's not like he had a totally free choice to like separate from the clan, because they had so heavily invested in him, and they know if push came to shove and he were to be captured by one of their enemies, primarily the Mountain Clan, because of a multitude of reasons that I'm not going to go into because everybody knows them. If he were to be captured, they can't just say no. They can't just say he's been exiled and we don't care, because he's an asset. They know for a fact that he is a very, very powerful Greenbone, or would be a very powerful Greenbone. And they know that if he were to be captured, like there would be heavy penalties to pay to get him back.
For the record, I don't disagree with that at all. What I'm saying is that he fundamentally misunderstands why Andon doesn't want to be a Greenbone, or why he can't.
That's
in his own
irrelevant
words
at this point.
No, it's super relevant to Andon's stake.
To Andon, sure.
It 100%
but to the situation where he's being shipped off to Espenia, that's not relevant.
So you're not viewing him as a person, you're viewing him as a plot device.
He is a plot device.
A little leverage. I know, but that's not all that characters are. Characters are people.
But like he is though,
but
in this.
It doesn't matter.
Oh no.
No, because despite being disowned and like ashamed of the family, the Talls love him. He can't he can't be out there in Marenia in the wind where anyone could get to him at any time.
I agree.
So like he's not like just a meta commentary plot device. He is though, like even he's a intrigue device in the ongoing Greenbone War.
Mm-hmm.
He could take over.
I don't disagree with that either.
Monkey. Start wiping asses.
There are other solutions. Emery is willing to do anything but wear green, as mentioned,
and go to
Espenia.
Well, no, he just throws a fit about the fact that he has to go to Espenia. That like that's what the solution is. It's not exactly what it is. I understand. I get it. So like, I guess I'll skip my quotes because no one cares.
It does. Putting myself in Andon's shoes, it sucks totally. But what's the alternative in Hilo's
I was going to say,
position?
I thought he got a pretty good deal out of that situation. Like,
no, I'm not.
Yeah, this is
I'm not
mafia.
disagreeing with that.
Just kill him.
Right. Yeah, I think ultimately exile is the most reasonable solution. But what I'm pushing back against is that it's hard to not empathize with Andon in this moment.
True.
Because of
yes.
Okay,
but we're beyond that. We're well beyond that. Like, what are we going to do? Like, I don't have a good solution that doesn't totally wreck Andon's heart.
I think we can both feel bad for him and be like, grow the fuck up.
But Hilo isn't. That's the other side of it, is that Hilo is not empathizing at all. And that's what I'm trying. That's like my stake in the ground here, is that Hilo is like, come over or get the fuck out, basically.
Don't we need that in a pillar, though? Like, this is him acting for the clan.
With your brother?
Your brother that has refused to act in the family's interest.
As a gang member? Okay, yeah.
So people can only be who they are, right? And Hilo
I think we will have to see.
For better and worse.
Yeah, Aaron, you're definitely right.
We'll have to see.
I feel
Cross clearly knows more than us, which he's lording over us.
I'm not even lording it over. Like, for me, I
know just as much.
Right. For me, the quote that gets me, right, is the quote that he has when he's just even exposed in proximity to Jade, right? There's this sort of duality of desire. He wants to be a part of the family, but is being pushed away, and desiring to hold Jade, but refusing it at the same time. So he says, or in his monologue, the memory of Jade, of the power it had given him, the ecstatic terror of that last battle when he killed one of the most powerful greenbones in Janloon. Sometimes it stirred in him a longing that was almost sexual in its intensity, in its sheer animal hunger. Andon's eyes dropped involuntarily to the top of Hilo's shirt, the first 2 buttons left undone as usual. Looking at the long line of jade stones studding his cousin's collarbone, Andon felt conflict, fear, and yearning pulling his insides taut. He still wanted to be a call. And shortly thereafter, it's like, but he can't do Jade again. And so there's this combination thing where it's like, I want to be a part of the family, but I can't do that because of his fear parentally, right? Like, because of his history.
I'm going to accept that, but push against it a little bit. In that, this is him scared of being pulled down too hard. This isn't him being pulled down too hard.
Yeah. Well, he's scared because he has examples. That's the issue.
He's afraid of the idea that he might become overwhelmed by Jade Fever. He's not overwhelmed by Jade Fever. And those are 2 very different things. So he is censoring himself out of an abundance of caution, which is fair and which is valid, and that's fine.
Because we don't want Andon to cheese grater himself.
But he doesn't know that's how
I was waiting to say that.
Aaron was ready. Yes.
It's not the same as, like, this is proof that he's got Jade Fever. It's not that. It's just a fear response. And a trauma response, and like just is in quotes there. Like that's not to be taken lightly, and I can totally sympathize with him or empathize with him. What's the proper term? I haven't experienced.
Probably sympathize. You haven't experienced cheese gratering.
Yeah,
a parent.
Like whatever the right one is. Like I feel for him. I feel bad for him, but it's not a like he's taking it as proof that he can't handle it. These feelings that he shouldn't be able to handle it. Like he is not regulating, but approving. Like he's using his feeling that he might become eventually overwhelmed by Jade Fever as a validation that he has Jade Fever.
I think what PJ's trying to say is that we all agree with you, Cross, except he's just being really annoying about it.
That's where I'm at with it. Like,
no, I totally get that for sure. I'm just clarifying that at the very least, Andon isn't just a bitch. He has a reason to be a bitch, and that's the important part. And there was a lot of Andon is just a bitch going on. I'm like, well, we got a whole book about why.
You know what? We just call him like we see him.
Yeah, but you're the one that makes him read it like that.
Bero's a dick and his little bitch. Move on.
That's what we got right now.
This is good analysis.
As things develop, we'll have to figure it out.
This is your thoughtful book club that you wanted to start.
Yeah. It's going real well. It's a good thought to explore, though. I mean, especially bouncing back and forth, because it is, how do we all read things differently? So the final thing to talk about in this chapter is Shay's read on the whole situation, which I think is the real way to look at it, and the way that Hilo feels without the emotional reaction, which is that this is the good, right move ultimately for you, and sort of the political way that it would have been addressed as opposed to the emotionally embattled way that we get it.
And Shay's the only one with real experience, so she can be like, listen, it's not that bad. Right. I fucked a dude in Espenia. You might do it the same.
God bless. God bless.
God bless. God bless. All right.
I have a question.
That's it for Exile.
Don't you all think Hilo, or I guess I think this, I'm curious if you agree, disagree, have any thoughts, but I thought Hilo was just as desperate to prevent Andon going to Espenia as Andon was. And so that's why I don't read it necessarily as, like, guilt trip, it seems manipulative, the framing of it that way. I think it's Hilo's last-ditch effort to have his cousin live up to his potential that he sees, the only way he understands for Andon to be who he's meant to be. And so I don't think it comes from a place, I think it comes, like, misguided as it is, from a place of love from Hilo. And it's just like him trying to do his duty to his cousin and not understanding that there's other ways to do that duty. But I think
agree.
guilt trip is too harsh of framing.
Bro love.
I agree with
Emotional.
I agree with that. And on top of that, I also think it's an act of desperation. Like, shit's going to start going down and we need all of the resources that we can get. And this is taking few, but a non-zero amount of resources, keeping him safe in a distant city that is still accessible. And like,
where the mountain's actively trying to get at him.
So I think it was more of a confluence of all of those things. And I don't think it's out of malice. I don't think it's out of like just sheer punishment. I think it's truly like Hilo doesn't have an alternative but to get him out of the country. And he's not good at public relations.
Or familial relations.
True. Yeah.
Historically very bad at it. I mean, we don't have to look further than the way that he communicates with Wen to also look at like well-intentioned versus, you know, not realizing who you're talking to or asking their feelings or talking to them about their feelings about things. And yes, I totally agree. I think that I'm not saying that it's necessarily not entirely well-intentioned, and it is definitely a plea, but love can still be incredibly manipulative, even when wielded with the deftest of hands.
Chapter 4, Dead Ends. A very mate chapter here, as we open with mate Ken learning of Tall Lan's grave being robbed by someone. We know who it is. He doesn't know who it is. And though he and Tar assume this to be Mountain Greenbones, Hilo sees more to the heart of the matter and knows that the man who killed his brother is responsible for the robbery. Hilo is enraged, and the mate brothers, particularly Tar, rededicate themselves to the case. Tar finds Seiko, the mysterious goatee greenbone who had supplied Mudt with shine and Bero with the weapons used to kill Lan. Tar attempts to interrogate him, but Seiko kills himself, and the trail once again falls cold.
Badass.
It felt kind of like it was cool to see the mates kind of operating, getting a little more comfort in their roles. It felt kind of like dark CSI Janloon a little bit.
I totally agree.
Yes, that's Law and Order.
I'm still perplexed by how they figured out that Lan's grave was desecrated.
Let me spell it out for you without looking it up. Here's what happened.
Sorry.
You go, Aaron.
No, you do it. No, you.
You know, body murdered, turns up at the cemetery. Suspicious. Weird. They're like, what grave did he dig last? Tall Sen. What's near Tall Sen? Let's dig up this grave, see what it looks like. Oh, disturbed near Tall Lan. Let's look into that. Coffin fucked up. It's okay though, the body's there. Oh, we know Jade was in that coffin.
Also, keep in mind when you're at a funeral and like when the people are there, they don't lower the casket in yet. So the people that stay, the workers, they could have like seen it or been like, hey, check this out. There's footprints down there.
Also, he mentions that there's only a very few people that knew the Jade was buried there. And if he was killed by a mountain greenbone, they would have collected that Jade upon death.
He mentions that the only people at that funeral were Calls and Makes and Andon, right?
The only people that
knew
that the Jade was there. Yeah, were Calls and Makes.
Never mind. Okay. Fair.
Bero was just vibes.
I don't believe they would dig up his grave. Like they wouldn't exhume his body without letting Hilo know first. Like that seems outrageous to me.
I think it might have just been, better to ask for forgiveness than permission, and that they didn't want to spook him, and they were just like, ah.
Did they actually dig him all the way?
Also, like Aaron said,
casket's already been it's already been fucked with.
Yeah.
So, now they don't know that ahead of time. Before digging into the grave.
Like Aaron said, they might have just been waiting to bring up their suspicions to the Calls because, like, they knew that the guy had been killed.
It doesn't
in
seem
the
like
cemetery.
Paulson
maybe
like
they were just
actually
waiting for. Yeah, like
got
Aaron said,
buried.
like, after the people leave, they fill in the grave. So they might have just been waiting to be like, okay, let's poke our
They don't
heads in a
even
little
lower
bit.
the casket down until everyone's gone.
Fair.
At least at the Christian funerals I've been to.
And they were already aware of the funny business.
They just weren't buying what Bero was hoping they would buy.
It's fair.
I think this is their first.
They also saw
grave
the
robbery.
loose earth.
They saw the loose earth.
Like that
Exactly.
was the tell. The real tell when they were like in the grave. It was like, okay, so there's the body, there's loose earth, something's wrong. They dig into it, they see the sides are broken open. It's like, okay, well now we got to dig the whole thing out and check.
Well, and they see next to Nano, what was his name?
Nuno?
Nuno, the bag with the
Clothes.
uniforms.
Yeah, with the uniforms.
And they're all muddy.
Which it's like, that wouldn't be a robbery. That's weird.
Okay.
Or a retaliation for gambling debts.
So there's a knock on Bero. Why
Powers
didn't they
of
take the bag of
deduction.
clothes with him?
He's
They're
an
like,
idiot.
make it look like a robbery. Take his watch. It's like, what about the muddy clothes that you left, dummy?
Don't worry about it.
Lon's mistake
Good
still
point.
haunting the family.
Yeah.
Good,
Should've killed those
good
kids.
point. I
I
stand
just-
corrected. Totally. Like I'm with you.
Hmm.
Again, I'll just reiterate, should have killed those kids.
Yeah, fuck
At
those
least,
kids.
At least one of them. So, never
I
mind.
hope Sampa
Can't say
comes
it yet.
back
Can't say
and
it yet.
fucks Barrow's tires up.
Him and Mudt just team up. Fuck you, Bero. So what do we make of Ken now, about 8 to 10 months ish, settled into his role as Horn? And his
What do we
specifically,
make of
What
Ken?
do we make
Wow.
of Ken?
Ah.
I feel like this. I spoke to this previously on one of our old Jade City podcasts. I feel like he just needed
Is
some
that right?
time. Now that he's like getting into the role, he seems like his competence level has raised quite a bit. His floor as a Horn has raised, so it's good to see. I was happy for him. I was like, "Good for you, Make Ken." You know, I'm glad that you're figuring this out.
You know the new Barbie promo.
Yeah,
I'm a Ken.
yeah.
I'm a Ken who skateboards.
I'm a Ken who kills people.
This is another Ken.
I have so many thoughts about the Ken situation. Ken's girlfriend versus Tar's girlfriend.
I was just about to ask that. What are your thoughts on that situation, Cross?
I think it's interesting. What are your guys' thoughts on that, Ben and Aaron and PJ? I'm just kidding.
Was
But like,
Aaron,
there's
go first.
something there.
The girlfriends.
Yeah,
So-
How
yeah.
they all like don't want to date a greenbone.
Only one of them. Well, really.
I missed
Ken doesn't want to date a greenbone. Tar
right.
always wants to date greenbones, apparently.
Remind me. I don't remember.
I missed
that.
Tar's girlfriend. Was Tar's
I don't-
girlfriend in
I
this
don't
chapter?
remember Tar's girlfriend.
No, Tar's girlfriend was previous.
Oh,
in the
okay.
last book.
Okay.
It's like a
Yeah.
one-off reference, on and off.
Yes.
Cats
okay.
and dogs fighting.
Yes, I remember that
Yeah,
now.
they
okay.
break up and get back together all the time.
Yeah.
Isn't it like two people with superpowers having sex would be more fun? Like, have you seen The Boys where the Superman guy and the scary girl like ruin the apartment?
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Why are you dating all these stone eyes?
Make Ken's girlfriend, I thought, was hilarious. I don't know, like that. She's just like, you know, she just seemed like she was there, happy to be there. And he was like, yep, this is a
Kind of like when?
convenient situation. Will you make it
Yeah,
to my
all the ways he
family
likes.
thing? And he's like, yeah, maybe. We'll see.
He's busy.
Yeah.
He's a
He is.
busy
He
man.
does literally say like every waking moment is spent being the Horn, and that fucking sucks.
I think too.
And like I can imagine that on Twitter in the retweet, like and like please retweet people, and there are only one other guy that knows.
Do you think this will potentially breed some animosity for Hilo, who spent a lot of time with his sister as the Horn?
I didn't think like Mate Ken actually wanted to spend time with this lady.
I'm gonna be mad that Hilo's better at time management. Come on now. Look at yourself in the mirror, Make Ken.
Was that mentioned at all? I don't remember it being mentioned. Like any sort of comparison of when Hilo was Horn.
I don't think so.
There's a good argument that Hilo had a much easier time as Horn than
That's true.
Ken
He
has
wasn't
This
in
was
right
war.
his
now.
time.
It wasn't a wartime Horn.
More free time.
or when time. I think, is it Ken or Tar who brings up, like, it's getting easier to be Horn now that he's convinced the fingers to answer to him instead of always going to Hilo, because Hilo's still so involved.
That's Ken, yeah.
Ken.
Yeah. So I think that's another reason they're getting better at both their roles, because they're kind of leaving Hilo out of a lot of stuff. Like, okay, I'm the Horn. I'm going to figure out, then I'll tell Hilo.
And also without Gaunt there's less of a need for Hilo to be as intimately involved in the day-to-day, the military side.
Less pressure.
So far. Susan might.
Susan, that lazy
Yeah.
Oh,
bitch.
he's going to apply some pressure at some point for sure, but not yet.
Lazy Susan. Nice, Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to call him Lazy Susan from now on. That's the name.
I know.
That's it. No
I know what
context
I'm about.
spoilers will be a Lazy Susan for the episode.
I like that. Allowed.
What else you got, my dear boy? Oh, boy.
I'm thinking. So Tar takes over midway through the chapter, right? And we get the Tar part's just really cool, I think. And then also some of so there's Tar and Hilo, they reshape the Pillarman's role. And what do we think? So Tar mentions, he wants to kind of reframe the way people think about how he operates and change the name of the fingers that report to him. And I think we all love how Fonda names the roles of the clan and various other things in Keitan and Janloon. So I was wondering if anyone had any ideas of what the fingers that report to Tar should be called. This new position.
Are they not still fingers?
Well, he wants to rename
a
them.
new name. Is there
Toes.
special?
Okay.
Toes?
I don't like that at all. But
I was thinking nails.
I understand it.
Maybe
Ooh.
fingernails, and then they
Ooh.
they do torture so they can pull off fingernails.
Ouch. Ugh.
Yeah.
I like
little,
nails.
nice
Nails is
little double
good.
entendre.
Knuckles.
I'll deal with it.
Knuckles is nice.
Knuckles, I think, gets
Yeah.
us into dicey
The people's elbow.
copyright.
The people's elbow. that one took me a second, but when it hit, it did.
That was for you, Ben.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I hope he does come up with a name eventually, though.
I know. Phalanges.
It's tough to name stuff. Phalanges.
I mean, do we want it to be in the same style?
I think so.
Can't be like a crazy rebrand, but we need a little, just a tweak.
Metatarsals.
It's so much worse.
Don't like it.
It's so much worse.
PJ, you're 0 for 2.
Garbage
Go again.
man.
One more.
No,
Don't fuck this up.
Don't let him go again. It's not going to be better. It's only going to get worse.
PJ, dig deep.
Let's see. Tendons?
I like
It's
nails.
better.
Let's just
We're
go
going
back to
backwards.
nails.
Shockingly is better.
Nails
We're
is
going
my
with
favorite.
nails.
When
Nails is totally my favorite.
Anyway, what do we think of the cool spy shit, scheming, mafia shit that Tar was up to? The reinforced trunk, the cool using city planning to abduct a guy.
Yeah. Great planning. I
It
was
was
like,
like a Mission Impossible.
yeah, this is good stuff. And I like the new role that he's got, and he's got his little black ops team.
The nails.
This seems like
Tar and the
a
nails.
very good reshaping by Hilo. Fits him well. Fits his men's skill set in this situation, Tar, and reshape that office in a way that's tactical and
Mhm.
one that really seems to be serving the clan well as far as a counterintelligence situation. I loved it.
And like you said, he's really good at it.
Yeah.
We've seen Tar is not necessarily on the surface the subtle one of the mates, but even he gets hey, I got to do this quick, because if we get a traffic jam in the middle of me abducting someone, the citizens are already pissed off at us. We can't be jamming them up even more. Just a nice little thing. And then ultimately, though, Forrester as he is, we get to the interrogation scene, and we get to a huge fuck up on his part.
That was pretty metal.
Never leave him alone.
Yeah, leaving him alone was a really bad idea. But also, you gotta he kind of says it. You gotta kind of tip your hat to the guy as well.
Yeah, way to slice your own throat, buddy.
We can't search his boots. I feel like that's a huge oversight.
I did have the same thought when I was reading it as well.
Think he was that green.
We didn't search the boots.
Why didn't you think he was that green?
No one ever claimed that the makes were the smartest apples on the tree.
He's only got a couple earrings.
Yeah, I think he was a junior fist, they say, right?
And he did fall for that lame, your mom's sick.
Yeah, I know. You can't call your
anybody
mom.
would fall for that. Yeah.
This is a wartime, my guy.
Hey, Ma!
Yeah, clearly.
They say you're sick.
One dog's looking this way, with the other dog's looking that way. But yeah, I didn't have any cool, deep thoughts on this chapter. I just thought it was generally a cool chapter.
There's a lot of fun stuff going on.
Cool action stuff going on.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, with that, we move into chapter 5, Every Advantage. We move to a conversation with Mr. Entei where Shay, Hami, and Woon sitting next to her as she explains that he's lost a bid for a construction gig. Hami is quick to jump in with the solution, much to Shay's chagrin, and she ultimately reflects that this is a good thing because she still has much to learn about clan leadership on the whole. After a brief session with council, she receives a call from the mountain's weatherman, Ri Turahuo, of whom wishes for the mines to reopen. She doesn't back down, and the conversation turns to the foreign crisis in Ortico, fueled by Jade from both clans. So starting off, there's a fun kind of duality here with the original Mr. Entei conversation, and then also following that up with the Koi Dawn thing that gets brought up of the hypocrisy of Shay to be like, well, I can't appoint him just because he's a lantern man or a lantern man's son. It's like, bruh, you come from the wealthiest family. You are literally the definition of this type of thing.
Nepotism.
Yes. All over the place. So what do we think overall?
I like that Shay was not infallible in this situation and is still kind of figuring out how to be an effective weatherman. But one thing I love about Shay is she understands that she still has a lot to learn and that she's got these really great advisors on her side. And so I love that Hami was quick to jump in, kind of figure it out and smooth it over. And so I think that shows just how great Shay is, and that yes, she understands that she has a lot to learn. She didn't handle that situation correctly, but she understands that that's a weakness of hers, and so she fills it in with two guys that can fill in those blanks.
It also feels like she's created this sort of understanding and this culture of collaboration that they're not all going to be all knowing about a given situation, and relying on each other is key to actually effectively doing all of their jobs. It feels like they all mutually respect each other in their given positions and don't feel superior to one another. It feels like a very healthy collaborative sort of structure at the moment.
Karen, you're lurking so close to the microphone. I thought you would have thought. I thought you were going to jump in. You looked like you were making a move.
Just leaning on it.
Just giving it a little kiss.
So creepy how you could barely hear it.
Yeah, exactly. It's awful. So there's a quote here to PJ's point, right? Which is, I'm grateful I have you, Poppy Jen. And then there's a little bit of in between that I'm going to cut here. But Woon was not unusually cunning or clever. He did not have a forceful personality, but like Lon, he seemed made of such a steadfast and dependable fiber that Shay understood why he'd been her brother's longtime friend and aide. And I think that is, to your point, PJ, that it's you kind of have this rod that you can always lean on in the background. And then you also have this sort of, I don't know exactly how to personify it, but the sort of thinking on your feet capability, cat-like reflexes maybe, in a deal-making sense that Hami has, and that complements the strategic side of Shay.
Can I bring up again that saying Woon is steadfast makes me more suspicious?
Not to go into...
So
Oh, go ahead.
We see the steadfast quote we see in all his time as Weatherman Shadow. He hasn't left early, always escorting her because of the guilt he has over Lon, presumably. And Aaron, I was wondering what that did for your anti-wound Poppy agenda.
It makes me more suspicious.
And see, that's my problem with you. And not to like start a Howler Pod podcast right now, but she's making the holiday argument back at me right now. And it's
and you were proved wrong. That doesn't mean I'll be wrong.
I don't know.
First
of all, my theory is still out there.
One piece of evidence. So there was actual evidence besides knowing how books work. Not just being an experienced reader. You were like, they describe two Greys very similarly.
Right.
And Aaron's like, advisors are always evil. And they say he's dependable. That's a lie.
They say he's trustworthy and flawless. Also, he got the shine. That's like a concrete thing that he did.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely true.
That is true.
He did arrange for the deal with the shine, which is something that Shay, I think, is unaware of up until this point.
Yeah, she's not aware.
Does anyone know?
Well, just point was more And and Shay. Yeah,
they knew
and
he was
Hilo
doing
and
shine. I don't know that they know.
Oh, Shay does know that he was doing shine.
Yes.
They don't know that it was Woon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. Does anyone know that Woon was the one? Unless, like, I'm sure if they thought about it, they're probably like, gotta be that guy. But
good clarification, Aaron. Yeah. Woon Poppy, I love that we've gone down the route of you two feuding over this. But I like to think of them as like the triumvirate in their own way. Like we talked about sort of the triumvirate on the clan side that was always hoped for, but this is like the Weatherman's triumvirate that makes them equivalent to maybe what we'll say is Doru at his prime, potentially. But as we know, they are kind of losing that financial war. And that trust is a really big resource. I think that's one of the other things that comes out of this is that I think it's Hami that brings up that like a lantern man's trust is really important too in earning that, because it's not just about like what you give them, it's also about what they get. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Any thoughts on the initial, I know we jumped to kind of the middle, but any thoughts on the initial sort of trade deal with Mr. Entei? Fuck that man entitlement?
Seems a little harsh, but I'll allow it.
It was a little
what
harsh.
Did Entei do?
He just, you know,
well, he's just
a loyal
kind of
man for years. He expects to be.
And Shay even admitted that she had wronged him.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I don't think
Cross was memeing, guys. I was just memeing back.
Yeah, I don't think he was out of line.
Yeah,
Cross is trying to be controversial, like I am with Woon.
Yeah, apparently Entei entitlement was kind of my bit. That was my whole bit. That was it.
Could you remind me what happened here? Because I don't recall.
Right at the beginning of the chapter, it's a quick thing in which basically Shay sells out the contract for a building to lower bidder.
Is it going to Iton
from Aspenia,
or is that separate?
No, it's just a different.
No, that's separate.
I kind of read all this as, they're not giving it to him because they're giving it to Iton. I just implied that.
No, it's going to Aspenia. So it's not that it's So an Aspenian builder is going to be able to come in because they came in with a really low bid, and that's why he feels sort of not rewarded for being like a lantern man for so long. It's because he's being basically, as Shay is one of the school of Aspenia and sort of that school of economics of the lowest bidder wins, what's loyalty worth? And so that's kind of a big sort of cultural gap to some degree that Shay hasn't acknowledged. But Woon and Hami help fill that in.
I don't think Hami Tumashan's bad.
Hami Tumashan's a G.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. We all like the lawyer, apparently, which is a first.
I can't say nothing about nothing.
All right. So we move into the phone call, which is sort of the bigger, more consequential half of this chapter, which gets into that Turaho call, or Turo, as he's referred to in other sections. They call him Tura. Yeah, in other sections, which I'm like Turaho. Turahuo? What?
Turahuo.
Turahuo. But we get into the idea of like they're both selling Jade to the opposite sides of the war. So Keikon, in effect, is feeling both sides, although split between sort of clan loyalty, and that that has allowed her office to continue to function because realistically, they couldn't have held up this war without selling out their jade reserves to the foreign countries. And that paints a grim picture kind of in a big way for Shay and for No Peak.
This guy struck me as a pencil pushing nerd.
The voice the audiobook narrator does for him, I'm not saying it's bad. It's just annoying.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's fucking perfect. Yeah, it's annoying. It's perfect.
But he's making some good points.
Fucking Mata was like, I'm tired of him.
Yeah,
so I do think it probably is perfect.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see where this goes, obviously, in the last chapter, but it seems like this is the natural next step because they're both struggling. And I like that he just like calls it out to her. Is like, yeah, we know you're selling jade to the Aspinians and you don't have, and you're selling out of your reserves, and that's not going to last very long. So I liked it as a development and just to see where it goes from there.
And I think there's good points here, and Shay agrees, like at some point we need to kick those claw drills back on.
Yeah. This was definitely one of those points where I like flipped back and looked at the map about what was going on. So that was because you're kind of seeing the wider story develop as well.
Cool. Well, to kind of round out the chapter, a larger conflict looms on the horizon, especially if you take a little look-see at the map. And I'm so glad you did and brought that up, Ben, because it is like literally, I think that's sort of the use really is once these things start to come into picture between chapters 5 and 7, and sort of this idea of like, there's a much larger world. In a big way, Jade City was focused in on this little town of Janloon, and now we're blossoming out into the rest of the wide world.
Oh, little town of Janloon. I haven't sung in a while.
I know, I love
like
it.
20 minutes.
It was great.
All right.
I'm going to level with you listeners, with you co-hosts. Very upset right now that I have to do this chapter because we are on chapter 6, The New Green, where we see loathsome piece of human filth, Bero, adjusting to life with his ill-gotten jade. A shine dealer, he spends most nights dealing shine and training in his newfound abilities at the Rat House, an illicit training ground for unsanctioned greenbones. Soradillo, a jade smuggler, recruits Bero and Mudt to join the operations as rotfish. So, truly, truly, truly a loathsome chapter.
It's
very
so fun.
interesting. No, it's not fun. I hate it.
Now I'm playing the opposite side. I've just been like cast as the devil in this episode, so here I am cheering.
This reminded me of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie where the Foot Clan is like hanging out and training. That's exactly what I thought of.
That's great.
This is like the non-Bero parts of this chapter, which we do need Bero for. It is a very interesting chapter. We get some cool like Janloon, Katon, societal implications. We did some wider world stuff going on.
This place is aptly named as the Rat House, by the way.
Bunch of rats.
Good call. Good shout out.
So this chapter, and I don't know when to bring this up, so I'm doing it now. I have like musical Tourette's, so songs attack my brain at all times. Kind of like I'll smell something and a song pops in my head. This, for some reason, Bero talking to what's his butt? Who's the Soradillo?
Oh yeah,
Soradillo.
The song was "You're playing with the big boys now," which I was like, "Where the fuck is that from?" It's from the Prince of Egypt.
Oh my god!
I know.
Oh, it is. It's the two
song in
oh
so
my
long,
god!
And I was like, "Oh yeah, they're the magician creepy guys."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, Thomas. I had to.
Yep.
No, I'm scarred now because that movie scared me as a kid because of that scene.
I fucking loved that
movie. I'm out. I'm leaving. Goodbye.
That's my interpretation.
Unsurprisingly, Bero, just fucking staring at himself in his jade all the time, feels that this is how he was always meant to live. And also tellingly, unsurprisingly, the idiot that he is, unafraid to display the massive amounts of jade amongst criminals. Like, just
I know.
an idiot.
That's like all I'm thinking is like,
yeah,
please.
even like this big criminal is like, oh,
yeah,
and he's like, I'm green. I'm cut, KK. He didn't say it, but he could have.
I was thinking was like,
genuinely surprised that we got to a situation where Bero feels satisfied in any way regarding Jade.
He's got his green.
Like,
He's got his dose of shine. He's doing it every day.
Right, but I figured we'd always see him pining for more. Like, I genuinely never thought we'd get to the position where he felt comfortable with the amount that he has. And, like, sure, he has aspirations for more, but it's not like he's actively, like, impulsively wishing that he had more Jade now. And that surprises me.
Well, I think for now he knows he's got to train and, like, be able to be consistent, because he's saying, like, you know, one day he can punch through a wall and the next he can't. So he's got to figure out skills with the Jade he has, and then he'll go get more.
Do you think that's a function of the shine or of the Jade itself, or a combination of the two, or his inexperience? Like, why? Like, I can't figure out why it's inconsistent. And I'm assuming
he's
it's
just
because
like,
of
he's not
shine.
trained.
I think he's just like very satisfied with himself in this moment for pulling off this heist, and he's got all this Jade, and he's like, I'm big shit. But like a month from now, he's gonna be back, like,
someone's
wanting
gonna
more
take
Jade.
it all from him, probably.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. Yeah, I don't really see it as like him not wanting Jade. I just think like, yeah, he's high on the horse right now, and like really fucking satisfied with himself, and like this is everything that he's ever wanted. But that feeling is going to dissipate quickly for him, and then he's going to want more, and then he's going to do something stupid. And all I'm thinking is like, somebody please inform on this motherfucker who will make.
And I'm sure someone will, because he's being all flaunty.
And he'll probably slip out of their grasp like a little.
What I think is going to
fish.
happen is that Fonda made a point to say, like, okay, you have to take the same amount of shine, like, every day. You can't miss a dose. You can't overdose, which is what happened to Lon. Maybe it was poison. I'm not letting that go. I think Bero's going to get in a situation where he's like, fuck, I don't have my shine. I can't get it. And then he's like having a heart attack.
He's being pretty stupid about his shine stock.
The idea that it's poison, I think, could contribute to this inexperienced user experiencing inconsistencies in its power.
I see that as him just not being trained at all.
Yeah.
He's just a dumb. Like, some days I can bowl strikes, some days I can't.
Fair.
Strikes and gutters, man. That's life.
It's Bero's life.
I can.
Not if you just live in the gutter. Gutter folk recognize gutter folk.
Aaron, if I can borrow your musical inclinations for a moment, picture this, like, this whole chapter set to 9 to 5 by Dolly Parton.
Working 9 to 5.
Our guy just fucking wakes up at noon, stares at himself in the mirror, and it's just like, dump, I can't do it right now, but and then he's
it's like the beginning of American Psycho
at the rat house, just worked in the room, trying to sell his shade,
like, hey, honey.
shine. I could see it. That's all.
Put your hose on.
What do we make of the rat house as a concept? Why are people willing to go there and do the things they do to wear Jade?
These all seem just like a bunch of posers, and posers is, a common thing in human culture. So
life.
Yeah, it's just like,
not for me.
They see something that they want, and they're just willing to like delude themselves into thinking that they have it by hanging out at the rat house. So it tracks.
It very much reminds me of like punk houses, like just houses with underground punk venues that are just like people living in squalor and like barely getting by, but they throw a house show and make $500
thinking that somehow they're living more genuinely than other people are.
Yeah, like it feels like just, this is the culture, this is what we can do, this is somehow a badge of pride in the like nether realm that they live within. And like it's not rational, it doesn't make a ton of sense, but it also fills a need like in the sense of like these punk houses, it allows for smaller punk bands to have a venue to play. So like this is a place where people that are ostensibly criminals and like fugitives, even though they might not have broken any laws, they're just like they can't really live within society in the way that they're living with Jade and Shine. So they need something where they can rely on camaraderie and like privacy to properly and like effectively live their lives. Like it's a fucked up situation that is born out of necessity is kind of the way that I took it.
Yeah. It's definitely I definitely get the underground vibe, and I love the Ninja Turtles comparison, and then throwing in SLC punk on top of it just gets you, I think, right to this sort of drug house trip that it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was probably, the attempt was probably to draw like heroin dens or something like that. But
opium,
my exposure is punk houses, so like that's what I could draw. But I'm assuming it was probably more the intention was to draw like drug dens.
I think the intention was to draw what Ben said, the Ninja Turtle den.
Yeah, that might be
Ninja
true.
Turtle,
Yeah.
the
Rockfoot Clan.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw Ninja
No,
Turtles.
it's the Rockfoot Clan, because this is, it's
we
just
got
a
it, we
little
got it.
different. Okay, all right.
Man, what do we think about Bero and Mudt being recruited to become rotfish?
I think Soradio's got a couple of shitty shitheads, and they're probably going to try to kill him.
Couple fall guys, maybe?
I feel like he just sees them for what they are. They're like ambitious dumb fucks, and so he can use them for this fucking job that probably goes through a lot of people, and they'll walk into it with clear eyes and probably get killed. That's kind of his thought, and he'll take advantage of them for the time being and just kind of dispose of them when necessary.
I think that was the Mountain's intention too, right? Like,
exactly.
How many times are these guys going to be recruited for the same job?
Mm-hmm.
And like, I can't help but assume they're going to wriggle themselves out of
exactly.
it.
Bero,
On this
at least.
way again.
Yeah.
It's the same
Cockroaches,
situation.
man.
It is very similar.
Okay, so I only had two more things on this. One I thought was interesting was the people practicing steel and just slicing their arms and attempting
Be
to...
like, fuck!
It reminded me
Test
of
it
like
out.
the people doing the knife
The
thing
knife.
between the fingers.
I just thought of like a cheese grater immediately. I was like, let's give this a go. Let's see.
I did not think of a cheese grater,
No.
but that is because
Okay, well,
I'm not a masochist.
well,
Did I say that right?
you did. Yes,
think you
that is
did.
how you say masochist.
I believe
Look at
it's
me.
Masochist.
Massachusetts.
Maso.
Actually,
Massachusetts.
I love that you both went there. That was so good.
Aaron and I are on fire this episode.
In
PFS.
sync.
Burgeoning friendship.
We finish each other's.
Sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
Oh my
Fuck
God,
you.
cross. And then, once again, Bero, closing the chapter, showing his true colors, got some dicey thoughts on Mudt.
Yeah, why does that motherfucker deserve anything?
Yeah, Mudt is not in a
That's
good
just
position.
PJ thinking that, though. PJ agrees. He's like that fucking Nepo baby Mudt.
Final thing. Bero and Mudt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck Mudt.
Yeah, I mean, Moot's just in a bad position. He's hanging out with a bad guy, and
Well, that's
Moot's
what
a hanger on to our boy
Yeah.
Barrow.
What if that's our
Parasite.
our new thing?
Poor Mudt had no real chance in life. He's
Yeah,
born
I mean-
in the gutter. His dad was in the gutter, and now
he seems like he's going to try and go after the makes. He keeps talking about that, and that just seems like
He's playing
real
gutter ball.
bad idea.
He had a golden opportunity to escape the life that he was born into, get away from the family name that was tainted by the No Peak clan, start life anew after his father was brutally murdered. Not in any sort of tragic way possible.
with what resources though?
He's got a shine stock.
All that shine.
all the shot.
Well, I don't
drug
think
dealer,
Mudt,
baby.
did baby
No, right.
Mudt know
Yeah.
about the shine?
He
No,
was
he didn't.
standing by it.
Didn't see.
I mean, he could go Bobby Schmurder's route, selling tracks since like the 5th grade.
I still think selling shine is still gutterball.
Also, here's now he has a cover story for his life. He moved in with a distant relative. He's a shoe stocker. Could have done that, maybe.
Could have gone and joined Call Doucheron Academy.
Well, I don't think he could.
I don't think you can just join.
I think that there's a lot
he's
of.
He's got to have some family, right?
Be, like a patronage kind of element to that. Like you got to be connected at least.
Yeah,
it's very nepo baby.
The mates got in though, so who knows?
Yeah,
true. They got in. Yeah, that's true.
Fair question.
Cool. Anything else on this chapter?
No, I wasn't pleased to be in it, and I'm pleased to be done with it.
Hey, we each got one Bero chapter. Okay,
I
broke this up fairly.
It was fair this time. It's just this one was like a lot of Bero like thinking, and he's just a tough hang.
Always.
He's got macaroni and cheese noodles for thoughts, and I want no part in it.
I do want to say that I feel like I wasn't very far off on my joke prediction that Bero would be the leader of a new army during this book. They even get a name. I don't remember what the name is.
The New
off the top of my
Green.
head. The New Green.
They call themselves
Green.
Green.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Am I satisfying a prediction there?
No.
Fuck.
Streets don't like
What?
it. Streets don't like the predictions.
Absolutely not.
Streets like the. Oh, you wanted us to drink? Come on, kid. First of all,
Come
my
on,
drink's
kid.
done. Second of all, we're too deep right now.
We are on the
But
final
I already-
chapter
My
of the
drink's
week.
so done. I ate the orange inside, and let me tell you, the orange soaked up some of the juice, some of the rum. It was delightful.
That sounds
It was real
lovely.
tasty. I felt like Nick Miller in the Love episode of New Girl, where they have the sangria.
I know we've talked about this previously on the podcast. I don't know that you guys have heard it, but every time you put citrus in your cocktail, it actually creates a bomb inside of your stomach and liver that takes about 20 minutes to go off. So every time you have a citrus-driven cocktail, it's going to get worse in a couple more minutes than you think it is, because you get the alcohol hit, then you get the citrus bomb hit that increases the
And
potency.
then a bomb goes off and an alien bursts out of your chest.
That's happened to me every time. Every time.
It's really
I have
gross.
so
to
many.
see. I don't drink with him in person
God.
anymore. That's why we only drink.
This
on
is a
Discord.
12-bedroom apartment. We've had a lot of aliens.
They're not nice.
They live on the shelves. They
I
live on the
don't
shelves.
even see. Fuck, never mind.
All right, with that, Chapter 7, The Weatherman's Persuasion. We return to Shay's perspective and are introduced to her current relationship with Professor Tao Marusan of the Jan Royal Academy University. My God. I'm inventing words as I'm reading my own summary.
Reading
Cut,
the
cut,
summary,
cut.
Royal Academy
Hold on. Cut, cut,
University.
cut.
Give him a break. A citrus
reading
bomb
the
just went
summary
off
is
on
like low
his.
key the hardest
Is
part.
this
of
the
it.
citrus bomb?
No joke. I haven't had citrus.
Cut,
and
cut.
the
Start
alcohol
over,
might be.
dummy.
Cut, cut.
Oh,
Whoa.
cut. Make 2 new t-shirts. Here's what we got. Cut, cut, cut. And then no free ads.
Yeah. All right. We return to Shay's perspective and are introduced to her relationship with Professor Tao Marusan of the Jan Royal Academy. We then begin to enter the incredibly complex political situation that we're faced with through the world at large. KCON being a small slice of what's going on in the wider conflicts. They leave their date and walk out of the street, sharing a kiss before heading to Mero's apartment for an intimate exchange. She wakes in the morning and proceeds to chat with Hilo while he spends his time training to discuss Ite's proposal of a truce.
Ow, ow.
Not gonna lie, the dinner that gets delivered to them is pretty fucking incredible. It sounds amazing. I wanted it.
And the,
Yeah, that sound
the
that sound
dessert.
incredible.
Oh,
Hey now, Aaron, once again, same
Dessert.
wavelength.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I guess where do we start? What do we think of Morrow?
I
You'd say
enjoyed
Marrow.
this fellow.
Morrow.
He seems like a genuine.
He's an intellectual little piss boy.
He's kind of a simp,
How dare
but
you?
I enjoyed that about him,
But
and
think
he's
of,
a genuine simp.
think of these like super powerful
Genuine.
green bones like Hilo and Kennertar, whoever's dating the Stonite, this is kind of like Shay's version of, because she had Gerald, the greenless Gerald, the jadeless simp. So this is like a little step up.
Gerald didn't seem like a simp. Gerald seemed like a playboy. He
was a fuckboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, she
it's
talks
a way
about
to
how hard he fucked her.
Yeah.
Vigorous.
He was vigorous. He was athletic.
There's that brief moment.
No, that was when I was listening outside, and I was like, oh goodness. Okay.
Oh my.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't have any like conspiracy corners about Marrow.
He didn't give me any kind of conspiracy. My radar was up initially for sure, but I wasn't getting that vibe from him either.
Because how much bad luck can Shay have?
Right. And he's like, he went to Calducheron Academy. Like,
yeah.
I feel like
he's got really big hands.
He's got huge
I was
hands.
like, okay, I wonder what that means. Yeah, there were a lot
Big,
of moments
comforting
in this chapter where
hands.
it was like, whoa, not safe for work.
No.
Yeah.
I really appreciated the intro to this being in his classroom and Shay sitting in on one of his lectures. I thought that was a great way to like open this character. I liked that.
I thought so too. I really liked it because it also, in a very sort of nonchalant way, delivers us a lot of information about the world in a very short amount of time. So we get some history around sort of the conflicts of different nations. We get some different bits and pieces that become kind of the driving force of this chapter, in addition to the relationship. I think it's masterfully done.
And we get a new university.
Mm-hmm.
It's not all about Calducheron.
And I think then this whole thing, again, just kind of speaks to like the scope of this book is expanding. This is like they're setting us up more and more for there's going to be other nations involved. Like we are getting into a larger political situation and like him speaking to that, him, we're learning about him being an advisor to the royals. Like all of that is like setting up, I think, what's coming down the road where it's a larger conflict between many nations or a couple of nations.
A Jade War.
Is that the name of the book? Wow.
What?
Wow. Yeah.
Whoa. It's like it was on the front of it when I opened it up every time I went to read it this week.
I put all of my books into brown paper bags.
That was like the point in the movie where they said the title of the movie.
Myself.
That's good.
With a wink.
Yeah.
Plain.
I paint all the covers black before I look at them.
Well, they're not red doors. Why would I paint it black?
Too bad I hate the Rolling Stones. So
that explains a lot about you.
Oh. Obviously, Ben touched on the political situations outside of KCON. Does anyone else have any thoughts on like where that's sort of spinning or going as far as the relationship between Espenia, the ROE, Egutan, Shatar?
Having that question in mind and reapproaching this chapter, I think I could give you an answer. But at this point, like there's just so much going on with so many different countries. I don't want to even pretend to have any understanding of their like interpersonal relationships at this point. Like maybe really digging into it and like looking at and dissecting that lecture, I could try to parse something out and like make a prediction, but I am not prepared at all to answer.
Yeah,
that.
the lecture, the dinner, sure.
Mm-hmm.
I like that your notes say, what do we think of Marrow? Big hands.
I did put it in the list as the final bit joke, all right? I had the whole thing planned.
Those big hands means big gloves.
She makes a big point of
she makes a couple points. About
yeah. She's like, want to see what those two.
Big comforting hands.
I do want to. Are we going to get more into the sex? Let's see the notes.
Yes, we're going to. I just wanted to hit the.
Okay,
wanted to hit the political stuff, and then we'll hit the apartment.
Let's hear it,
Aaron. You
through the floor.
Been clamoring for a set scene from a woman's point of view.
That wasn't me.
Now we've gotten one. What are your thoughts?
I'm thinking more. It's finally two green people having sex. So it kind of talks about like their auras.
I also thought that was interesting.
like I was thinking you could never fake an orgasm. Because like their green auras are like going back and forth.
Intermingling.
And it's like another level of intimacy and connection with their perception. I thought that was cool.
When I reread this and there was like that whole your place or mine, and then we'd see later on like how the Jade auras interact, I was just like, poor Shay in that house with Hilo.
Yeah.
Well, she
Wen
even
just like
brought it up once.
in the previous book.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's gotta suck. Like just to be green bones interact. Like
And
imagine
that was
a
just
green bone college.
feeling Hilos, not because
right.
Wen obviously
when,
doesn't have
yeah,
one.
think about being in a high rise and there's a bunch of
Or like in the high rise, or like in the brothel that Lon goes to.
Yeah, well, that's probably why he takes off his jade.
It might be why. Yeah, I would have.
Like, I don't need no
If I were him.
other auras in here.
Like relax about it, guys.
Yeah, but the your place or mine was funny too because it's like, well, obviously you can't come to the call estate.
We're also, this isn't like a legit relationship, even though you did make a really cute gesture at the dinner where you kind of made us like
a date,
made us legit in that moment, and I accepted it. So like we're officially, a thing. It's kind of that moment. But
also another point for Marrow, he has a cat.
That was my only red flag with him.
Wow, I have 2 cats, Ben. What is it? What do you?
Yeah, what are
2
you
cats
saying?
is good. 1 cat, weird.
Okay,
Why?
we're good. We're good.
Less poopy litter box.
I have
One
2 litter
cat.
boxes.
Called a joke. Aaron.
it's not better. It's just
Sir,
I was trying to cover for telling Thomas about the cat thing.
okay.
I appreciate it. Aaron, you love to point out when we get new little technological tidbits. Condoms. We have condoms in this world. I think that's crucial to shout out.
Safe sex, very important.
Mm-hmm.
If you were, so can you not use your powers of deflection?
Okay.
Listen,
Now this is the hard hitting question. So that is great.
Keep those sperm,
At bay. Yeah, that was a great point.
shoot them out.
Shay might be able to.
Maybe that's a green bone thing where it's like, hey, babe, just use your deflection. Like, we don't have to use a condom this time. And they're like,
Oh my
no,
God.
we have to use the condom.
Gerald definitely used that line. Gerald definitely used that line 100 times.
fuck Gerald once again.
Gerald was definitely
Or don't
asking
fuck
for
Gerald.
deflection.
Fuck Marrow.
Yeah. No, Marrow seems like a
fuck
good
Marrow,
guy.
but-
No, I mean like sexually.
I know.
All right.
Well,
We got that. We got
but
that.
Gerald's really hot.
I have a lot of like biological questions that come with sex with Jade and the advantages. Are there any disadvantages? I don't know.
Like you said, I don't think you can
Lightness?
fake an orgasm. Yep. Mhm.
Some Cirque du Soleil type stuff here.
I feel like the heightened sensitivity could be
Yeah.
an issue.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, like oversensitivity.
I feel like the idea of like the perception, like being able to perceive how into you the other person is, that would also kind of help
Help on dates too.
your
I
situation.
don't want to get too into it.
Well, it's
because,
sort
as
of-
I mentioned, my mom.
That's sort
does
of like
listen to
that's sort of like the oral exchange moment where it's like you go down on me, like that whole thing that was happening there seemed like that came from the aura,
Yeah.
right? So it felt like that was sort of the exchange of like, all right, you're like quivering on some kind of an edge because you're just a weak one gemstone boy, but all of
I
Get to
think
work,
Thomas is like, Mom.
I think at the appropriate Jade levels, the emotional impact of the perception would probably be very rewarding. The
Right,
emotional
right.
aspects.
Mm.
Nice.
Could just be like so in sync, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely.
I did like this sex scene. I thought it was written. It was more equal than the ones we've gotten with.
I thought it was written really well.
Wen
Yeah.
and
Titillating.
It's not like I take her and she's mine.
Yeah.
This was more of like a modern go on a date, have some sex.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that. And to Ben's point, titillating for sure.
Titillating.
There's this question of is it a POV difference or is it a physical writing difference? That's kind of my
probably a POV
Probably
difference.
POV, yeah.
I think that's a big part of it, is that our previous sex scene was Hilo, who in general feels pretty self-absorbed and like
wants to think of himself that way too.
Make Wen. Like, we know he feels for her and like is like genuinely cares for her, but in his point of view, he seems very selfish. And combining that with like early chapter sex scene, like that was first section of the book as well, wasn't it? Like that was like chapter 5 or something.
Yeah, it was very early.
Like, it was super early.
It's as though we broke these up to make sure that there was a sex scene in both of the first sections.
Fair. That's
I
fair.
don't think we did that.
You whores.
I did.
I don't
What do you
remember.
mean?
Either way, like this felt so much better in almost every way than that sex scene did. So I don't know. It's a combination of everything. It's the point of view. It's the writing itself. The fact that it's Shay in the driver's seat. Yeah.
Do you think any of it could be because for Hilo, when we meet him, that was like a routine sexual encounter, and this is the first time between Shay and Marrow, and also her first time in a while?
You don't know what she's been doing behind the scenes.
She says it's been a little bit.
She talks about it being the first time.
Okay.
Either way, like Hilo's, it's a routine encounter, but it's also fucking weird.
It is weird. I didn't like it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I ain't
It's
gonna
so
hold you.
strange. He breaks
like-
into the window and like
Yeah,
assaults
tough.
her.
it's tough.
It's so fucking weird.
I mean, it worked out. Seemed like she was okay with it. However,
I mean,
tough luck. I didn't like it. Streets were up in arms.
A quick move away from this just for a brief moment. I did want to bring up that there is obviously the cute moment that I think we talked about off air. So I want to bring it on air, which is the fact that there's this quote here that Mara says, "When people hear the name Call, they think war hero or Jade prodigy or heir to the great Greenbone clan dynasty." Mara said, "Not shameless fan of silly romantic musicals." And that's such a good flirty line that I loved the delivery and the writing of this. Their flirtation even feels so natural and so well written. I appreciated it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fuck it up, Marrow.
Yeah, I love the flirtation there. That was fun, and I love seeing that.
And I love that Shay loves
musicals. I know, I love that about her because we famously both love musicals.
Famously.
I also love musicals. How dare you?
So
I do.
Famously.
This is
We.
Oh yeah.
The collective.
this is about the point where
I'll cry in my corner.
my assumptions are not that Morrow is a bad actor in any way, but that Morrow will be exploited and like captured.
He does seem like he could be a target later on.
Yeah.
He ain't very
the fact
green.
that their
Shay can
sparks
protect
are flying
him, though.
so fast.
She can protect him.
Hope so.
Protect.
Big Mama Shay.
Maybe I'll have to do his first duel.
Ooh, wow. You did mention it.
I don't think he'll get very far unless it's against Bero.
Do you all like Marrow thus far?
Yes.
I'm in on him.
Yeah.
I approve.
Okay.
We ship Marrow and Shay.
Down to
right.
like his whiskey choice, like a mid-range whiskey at a dinner date at like a nice restaurant. She orders a cocktail. He orders a mid-range whiskey. Like that's a perfect, like he's so well, like intentioned. It
Doesn't
feels
have
great.
tenure.
Yeah.
Seems like he has a good head on his shoulders.
He is a teacher.
I like him.
Aaron said that so matter of factly, as though it was just a fact, like on his checkbox. Like, yeah, he's a teacher. He also has big feet and wears
We
size
don't know about
11
the feet.
shoes.
We know about his hands. He could have
The
small
first
feet.
time I ordered a whiskey neat out in public was after I got my history masters. So, smart people. Well, that's what we
As you should. As you should. The final thing to kind of circle around on this chapter is after the morning after, I'm like kind of walking out of the apartment and sort of flirtatiously, and then going back to the Call Estate and talking with Hilo, whom has kind of returned to form after what seems like a full year of rehab to kind of really get back to where he was previously, and sort of pitching Ait and Ritura's pitch of an alliance.
I think one, this shows like how far Lon still had to go. Like from his injuries, like it just speaks to like the amount of pressure that he was under, why he turned to Shine, and like that whole situation. So I thought that was really interesting, and I like that aspect of it. And I like that Hilo's like, no, I got to get it back. I don't know why, but it seems like it's probably pointless.
You might
but
have to duel.
Yeah, it's just like I like that he's like that, and yeah, I like how Shay talks about how like basically like it has to be Hilo's idea that this like he has to come around to it. She knows how to talk to him the right way to get him to feel like yeah, I thought of this and like we should do this because I'm making the decision and not Shay. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting.
This injury too and having to train is good for Hilo's overly large head. So I think it's teaching him, he's not invincible.
Do we think that this leads to like a mountain no peak truce / kind of alliance versus an outside power Jade War situation where they have to like they're forced to team up to defend K-Con against
maybe
some outside forces or something like that? That was kind of a thought I had, as maybe this is where we're going to get like a book of them like maybe working together, but also kind of like strategically planning and working against each other. So that could be fun.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a war for who controls Jade.
Ooh.
Oh ho. All right. Anything else on this week?
This was a fun one.
Yep. Way to end on a sex scene.
I thought that was a fun way to end a week. You get a sex scene and a cliffhanger all at once. But yeah, I'm very excited. We did. The final question that we have every week now that we're starting with is who won the week?
Shay, she got fucked.
She ended on an orgasm, so we got to give it to her.
Shay and Maro,
I feel like
Maro in general together.
Folks, I'm so sorry to let you down, but Bero.
I was going to say Bero, but yeah.
Bero fucking cleaned this week.
He cleared easy.
He has got everything.
We don't like it.
Hey, Bero didn't have sex.
Rich.
And if that's
true.
That's true.
What we're measuring.
And that might satisfy him in
measuring.
general. Like, he might be totally fine if he just gets fucked one time.
Won't need Jade anymore.
Jade fever is just general horniness.
God,
Got it.
Maybe that's what Andon needs too. Actually, Andon definitely needs that.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Andon needs a lot.
He needs a hug.
All right.
Andon needs, we've got the family greenbone doctor. We need a family greenbone therapist for my guy.
He also needs Xanax.
Yeah, he needs a lot. He's going through it. He's had a tough go.
Yeah, he's tough. It's tough.
Needs a shot of Aiton's Hochi. He needs a fucking
shot of Xan.
Poor lad. Shot of
Xan.
No free ads.
It's a great spot to end on.
Free ads for Xanax.
Next week is our second episode where we'll be reading chapters 8 through 15 of Jade War by Fonda Lee, the second book in the Greenbone saga. If you want me to get real specific here for you. If you've missed it at this point, I'm so
by
sorry.
Fonda
I
Lee.
shouldn't help you. But I did say that.
Do I need to read it too?
No. So that's where we'll leave you for this week.
What number of book is it? In what series?
God damn it. That's where we'll leave you for this week.
Thanks as ever to Cross and PJ and Ben and Aaron's producers, Tim and Andrew, for helping us keep their show going. Also, check out all their links in the show notes. You can find the schedule, Patreon, previous episodes, all of our websites, all our socials in one convenient spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those socials if you don't feel the need to actually look up the show notes. Like, we're so tirelessly and conveniently putting up for you, like the gracious hosts that we are. If you want us to feed it to you in audio format, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Reddit at wordswhiskeypod. You can email us at wordsandwhiskeyshow@gmail.com. You can find
just not about
Patreon.
pronunciations.
What?
Just not about pronunciations.
Yeah,
none of
not,
those.
We're not taking those anymore.
No.
So sorry.
Sorry. If you want to join our Patreon and join our Discord and hang out with us on a daily basis, you can join us at patreon.com/wordsandwhiskey. And for now, you can get t-shirts at TeePublic. I don't know what the link is, so you have to actually like seek out the link for that one. But, you know, it's fine.
And Aaron, what do people need to do?
Don't forget to rate and review 5 stars only. If you don't give us 5 stars only, then your monkey will not help you wipe your ass.
We'll steal that monkey.
You armless
He'll wipe our ass.
bag of bones.
That's a good one. 10 out of 10.
See you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.